Rodriguez recognized the brave first responders who are on the front lines fighting one of LA's worst fires in decades. Gil Reyes has more on how teamwork prevented this blaze from becoming much worse.
It's a day to honor first responders following LA City's biggest fire in over 50 years. Last month's La Tuna Canyon fire in the Verdugo Mountains charred 7,200 acres, destroyed 5 homes, and risked the lives of hundreds of firefighters who battled the blaze for more than a week.
Too often we take for granted that they're just there ready on call and ready to be dispatched. Their families, as a daughter of a firefighter, I know what it's like to have that sacrifice where the families, don't see their father or their mother for, 24 hours at a time sometimes because of their deployment. So I think it's always important for us to say thank you.
Councilmember Monica Rodriguez represents Sunderland Tujunga, one of the communities forced to evacuate. Her office organized this thank you event at Discovery Cube LA. LAPD Valley Bureau was also honored for helping to get everyone out safely.
LAPD is critical. We hand them the evacuation piece of a brush fire. Our job in the initial phases is to focus on keeping that fire small. If it gets beyond our control, we really need LAPD to clear the people from the houses ahead of the fire where we project it to go.
All residents, please exit your homes.
LAPD and other law enforcement also coordinated traffic during the exodus and told evacuees where to go for shelter. More than 300 homes in Sunderland Tujunga, Burbank, and Glendale were forced to evacuate. LAPD Deputy Chief John Sherman says he was moved by the level of cooperation.
Frankly, being supported by our community, which doesn't always happen with the police officers. A lot of times we're in a situation where we're criticized or we're second guessed, and in this instance, the community is very happy that we were there helping them back in early September.
A coordinated effort with multiple agencies and no lives lost. At Discovery Cube LA, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
As a show of gratitude, Discovery Cube Science Center is discounting admission for first responders and their families throughout the month. LA joined countries around the world in guiding its kids to school on International Walk to School Day. LA's own Mayor Eric Garcetti put on his walking shoes to highlight the need for child and traffic safety. Anna Marcos has more.
The kids at Magnolia Avenue Elementary seem pretty gung-ho about leaving the car and bus behind to walk to school for a day, and they've got quite the walking partners. Mayor Eric Garcetti and LAUSD School Board President Monica Garcia are helping to honor International Walk to School Day.
Everyone was around him, lots of pictures. I got a photo with him. I was surprised when my friends showed me the mayor, and
is that cool to have the mayor here?
Yeah.
Cool?
I'm very proud that we've started this program now for 2 decades. So one of our safe routes to school is about making sure there's police officers on the most dangerous routes. It's about making sure there's traffic enforcement, and that we change the hardscape to make it easier to cross those streets.
City leaders and kids walking side by side, just a great way to show that walking to school can be safe and fun. Some even think it can make you better at school.
Boys and girls, are you working hard to do your best at school today? And were you clear about being safe as you walk to school today? Boys and girls, you are a model for the whole country.
Rulers, glue, crayons, markers, pencils, just some of the tools of learning the ABCs. And each of these kids is getting one of these school supply packs to further their academic achievement.
I think it's fun because you get to do arts and crafts.
My favorite school supply is a pencil because I like writing.
And the mayor has one more extracurricular goal for these kids.
It's great for the kids to get exercise. We're bringing the 2028 Olympics here. We want to make this the fittest city in America.
You heard it, kids. Pack your new pencils and crayons and start hoofing it as the mayor works to make your streets safer. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The supply packs given to the students were donated by UB School Supplies. Well, oftentimes one teacher serving 30 school kids isn't enough for a student. Individualized care may be the key to getting through school. That's where the City Year comes in. Gil Reyes has more on the group and its latest mission.
Like soldiers in the battle to save students, these AmeriCorps members get set for deployment. They're part of City Year, the tutoring and mentoring program helping at-risk kids at LA schools. Today at LA Live, AmeriCorps members are sworn in for another year of active duty.
I want to be a teacher. I want to be in education. I want to be in the classroom. I want to work with these students.
In 28 cities nationwide, more than 3,100 City Year AmeriCorps members go to schools to get kids pumped for college with one-on-one instruction.
So that our AmeriCorps members can build relationships with the students, find out what's going on that's keeping them from getting on track, help them deal with that, and then get them back on track to graduate.
Though LA Unified's graduation rate is higher than ever at 80%, members say much more work lies ahead to get that to 100%. Camacho, a 3-year AmeriCorps veteran, loves it when former students who've improved approach her.
Look at my grades, like I'm doing so well, like I'm taking my notes, I'm doing this, and like they're just showing off everything that they've learned last year and applying it this year, and then coming to show me of how much they're growing themselves, and then it's just making me so proud. As
the group gets set for another 1-year mission. Reporting on City Year at LA Live, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Around 300 City Year AmeriCorps members serve LA Unified. The program is celebrating its 20th anniversary this year. Turning now to LA traffic, and if you drive anywhere near the West Side, then you know how hard it is to get around. But that's all about to change thanks to 15 Metro bike rental kiosks that have just opened up at prime locations around Venice, including the Expo Line stop by the beach. Gil Reyes has more.
You can rent bikes at plenty of places in Venice, but these are the first to truly complement bus and rail commutes.
Give it a chance. Bike share is a way to enjoy and see these beautiful beaches in a way you cannot from your car.
We are in the epicenter of physical fitness in the United States, Venice Beach, California, home to Muscle Beach, and now home to LA Metro's bike share program. 15 kiosks available and 165 bikes available to rent.
The epicenter of physical fitness, but also a really important place to make a first and last mile connection to the nearby Expo Line.
Venice Councilman and Metro Board member Mike Bonin referring to first mile, last mile. That is the distance between a commuter's transit stop and their final destination like home or workplace. Oftentimes that distance is too far to walk, so they'll drive it, making the West Side's already soul-sucking traffic worse.
So we came in a car, so we had to find somewhere to park, and then we had to walk from the car, and that's everybody's story in Los Angeles. So something like this, I think, could be of great benefit.
Peter Quentin and Ellen Cox try out Metro Bike Share for a change. The good news, rental kiosks are conveniently located at downtown Santa Monica Expo Line Station, Abbot Kinney Shopping District, Muscle Beach, and several other popular Venice area destinations. And the bonus is you can rent a bike from one Venice Metro kiosk and return it at any other 24 hours a day.
Fantastic idea. I mean, if everything is integrated like that, all the transport systems, I think it's a wonderful thing.
Absolutely. Cuts down traffic. It's environmentally beneficial. Folks are hungry in Los Angeles for a variety of different options and modes of transportation, and this helps address that. Okay.
And you get your cardio in, too, at the epicenter of the fitness craze, Venice Beach. I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Now, this new Venice system should not be confused with the City of Santa Monica's Hulu system. They're not compatible. Metro Bike Share is also up and running in downtown LA and the Port of Los Angeles. With a monthly pass, trips 30 minutes or less are free and just $1.75 every half hour after that. For more info, log on to bikeshare.metro.net. Well, most council districts offer a newsletter to their residents, but Councilmember Gil Cedillo and his staff are going a step further to keep their community informed with a glossy quarterly news magazine. As Anna Marcos shows us, that's reason enough to party.
A little riff from Santana gets the party started. The reason for the celebration, the latest edition of the One Voice, Una Voz magazine, a state-of-the-art bilingual news magazine, the brainchild of Councilmember Gil Cedillo, his staff, and community members.
Nothing like the smell of a fresh magazine, the paper, the ink coming off the press, hot off the press.
The news magazine covers issues affecting Council District 1, from the environment, river cleanups, and public safety, to the area's unique art and culture scene.
This is all about the residents of CD1 and other stories that are relevant to it. Now, politics do creep in. Immigration is a big issue in our district. Politics do creep in, but that's not the focus of the magazine.
What is the focus? The community's residents and its artists.
We feature the district and we feature the artists. So every cover, all 8 covers are either photos or artwork from our artists.
After 8 issues, this quarterly news magazine has established itself as a unique and important voice for the people. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The community of Watts is notable for much more than just the 1965 LA riots. As Gil Reyes reports, there's also the arts and 2 of the longest-running multicultural festivals in the country.
This 2-day music festival in Watts began with the traditional Yoruba blessing, a West African prayer uniting all the cultures of the world.
Yes, it's my first time here. I've been meaning to come for many, many years. I finally made it.
Tahitian dance group Ninosina Polynesia among the diverse acts at the 36th annual Watts Day of the Drum Festival, an international celebration of all things percussion presented by the Department of Cultural Affairs. The hits kept coming all weekend. The next day marked the 41st annual Watts Towers Jazz Festival.
We are the oldest festivals of their kind in the United States of America, and it's done right here in Watts, California. Some people only think about us when they think about 1965. However, we do other things in 1965. We do museum and art education. We're the only tourist site in Watts.
West African, Brazilian, and Afro-Cuban sounds also filled the air, bringing people of all types together to enjoy.
It all looks really exciting.
This is pretty fantastic.
South LA Council member Curran Price attended.
It's a way for us to celebrate ourselves and to celebrate our community.
The beat goes on when you visit artist Simon Rodia's Watts Towers, which took him 30 years to build, and the Arts Center campus. The campus is open for tours Thursday through Sunday. In Watts, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
For tour times, exhibits, and special events, visit wattstowers.org. A homeless forum seeks to find solutions to our homeless crisis. City Council approves an ordinance that will help build more affordable housing, and folks come out to celebrate everything that Greek culture has to offer. All these stories in City Beat. USC journalism students and the Skid Row community participated in a forum on homelessness recently, featuring a panel of service providers, including representatives from the Midnight Mission, LAPD, and Mayor Eric Garcetti's office. The forum focused on coming up with solutions impacting the homeless population in our city. Many people living on the streets or in shelters shared their stories. Among the many issues affecting homelessness, several were discussed, including the difficulties women face in finding a safe place to sleep, how to provide a better system of housing and services to get more people off the street.
We need to have a robust shelter system that helps people who just need a little bit of help get their feet under themselves, sleep in a safe place, get cleaned up, get dressed up, and get out and find that next job.
The Los Angeles Planning and Land Use Committee, chaired by Councilmember Jose Huizar, voted 4-1 in favor of the city's linkage fee ordinance. The ordinance is expected to generate up to $114 million annually through development fees on new construction. City officials say it will be a major step forward in addressing the city's affordable housing crisis. The ordinance is supported by a group of community organizations as well as LA Mayor Eric Garcetti. folks came out recently for a taste of Greek culture at the 19th annual Los Angeles Greek Festival. The theme was Greek Out, and award-winning actor Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson hosted the festival as honorary co-chairs. The three-day festival took place at Normandy and Pico and featured authentic Greek cuisine, culture, music, and dance.
It's our way of sharing our culture, our heritage, our history. Folk dancing in Greece is one of the few countries where the dances have remained part of the culture and not as a museum piece.
One city council member throws a party for the love, guidance, and contributions of LA's older adults. Gil Reyes has more from the LA Convention Center. Gil.
Yana K, everybody at home, check it out. What you're looking at is the free party at the LA Convention Center that seniors from South Los Angeles look forward to every single year. Just a small token of appreciation for all their years of service.
Age is just a number for these older adults busting moves on the dance floor. The entertainment, the food, the fun are all free.
Totally appreciate it. We have people waiting to come just to be a part.
Patricia Williams, a retired postal worker, among the hundreds of South LA area residents, having a blast at this Senior Appreciation Luncheon at the Convention Center. The event, organized every year by area council member Curran Price.
And the fact that he wants to celebrate us seniors, that means a lot to us.
Well, it's important for us to just recognize the contributions that our senior citizens have made to our community, and this is a way of giving back, saying thank you, and providing them with vital information that will make their lives easier.
Showing up, the councilman's 91 years young mom, also LA City Council President Herb Wesson. Over 500,000 people aged 60 or older now live in LA City. Those numbers are expected to grow as seniors live longer. The mayor's office has launched a purposeful aging initiative, calling on city departments to assess the needs of older adults through online surveys.
It brings all the departments together to really plan about the future of seniors. If it's a public works, the streets, if it's transportation, the street lights, all those different things are being planned.
Daniel and Bessie Auberry tell us the secret to aging well and marital bliss.
59 years with him, 59 years. We got 26 grandkids, 17 great, and made 5th generation, and I'm 80.
Wow, you guys look fantastic.
Thank you.
And that's the secret, huh? Having fun, huh?
Loving, having fun.
Living a good life.
And giving a good life and giving each other respect.
Enough space on the dance floor, too. At the LA Convention Center, I'm Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
LA seniors are urged to answer online surveys to assess their needs at purposefulagingla.com. Well, celebrate Oktoberfest with your friends at Pershing Square. Get your kids into the Halloween spirit with Boo at the LA Zoo and enjoy a free movie night in Council District 1. All this in this week's Things to Do. Oktoberfest is coming to Pershing Square in downtown LA. Spend the weekend living it up during this fun cultural event. There will be plenty of drinks along with sausages, pretzels, authentic desserts, and of course live music and dancing. This weekend is the perfect chance to celebrate with a great group of friends, so come and enjoy everything Oktoberfest has to offer. The weekend festivities take place October 21st through the 22nd from 12 to 8 p.m. at Pershing Square in downtown LA. It's that time again for ghosts, goblins, and everything spooky. The all-new Boo at the Zoo offers Halloween fun throughout October. Boo at the LA Zoo offers goblins and ghouls of all ages a chance to feed their imaginations with fantastic fun and spooktacular learning throughout the entire month of October. Activities include an all-new nocturnal adventure maze where guests can learn about nocturnal creatures, an opportunity to get up close and personal with some of the zoo's tarantulas, scorpions, snakes, and more, a puppet show, and pumpkin carving demonstrations. The festivities go on until the end of October. For more, visit lazoo.org.
I come from Earth, a planet of outlaws.
Councilmember Gil Cedillo, in partnership with the Department of Rec and Parks and the Arroyo Seco Neighborhood Council, invite you to a free screening of Guardians of the Galaxy. A free small popcorn is included, so grab the kids and enjoy a movie night. It all begins at 6:30 p.m. at Sycamore Grove Park at 4702 North Figueroa Street. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kane. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Hi, I'm Kevin from Chatsworth, offering you a taste of New Orleans since 1986. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Good morning. If everyone would please take their seats. Today is Wednesday, October 18th. I want to welcome you to City Hall. Mr. Clerk, we do have a quorum. Would you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonham, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Cryan, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. First order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Rodriguez moves, Rue seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Bonin moves, Blumenfield seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, there is a request to continue item 1A to November 1st. Again, that's item 1A to November 1st.
Okay, without objection, so ordered. Continue.
Very good, sir. Items 2 through 5 are items noticed for public hearing.
Do you have cards?
Yes, sir. Cards on all items.
Okay, then let's continue.
Items 6 through 16 are items for which public hearings have been held. A committee report for item number 12 has been submitted, posted, and circulated for council's consideration. Further, we should hold item 9 on the desk for an amending motion.
Okay, let's do so. Mr. Koretz.
I'd like to ask that item 6 be continued for 1 week.
Okay, item 6, if we were to continue that for 1 week, what's that, the 20?
That's the 25th, sir.
Okay, let's do that. So without objection, let's now prepare to vote on the remaining items. Madam Clerk, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Continue, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, items 17 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do you have cards on these items?
Mr. President, cards on all items.
Okay, continue.
Mr. President, that takes council back to presentations. Item called special or public comment for matters not on council's agenda.
Okay, why don't we pull up Mr. Walsh. Mr. Walsh, items 2, 17A, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Oh, no, 22's in the special. And general public comment. Go ahead, Mr. Walsh. 2, 17, 18, 19,
John
20,
Walsh,
21.
blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, and tweeting at Hollywood Dems. As far as the agenda items that I have circled, number 1, this is a nuisance abatement, building and safety. As I said, I've lived in this city since 1966, and that's when I first moved here under Bradley, and under Bradley's predecessor. And he did a very good. They've done a very good job, which is more than I can say for the fire department. Number 1, and then number 2. Number 2 is this is maintenance of the street lighting. You're doing an excellent job on street lighting once you got rid of carbon arcs. Remember, you do a good job, I say you do a good job. I'm not one of those white guys that say, you're all a bunch of crooks. Let's get rid of all the black and Hispanic people and have the white people run the city again. I'm not that person. I have the same skin color as they do, but I'm not that person. And next is number 17. And number 17 is, these are rent escrow. You do an excellent job on rental. Any problems? When the landlord wouldn't paint my building, I went to the city. He did it right away. So when you do a good job, I'm the first to congratulate you. When you do a shit job, I'm the first to attack verbally. Okay, number 17, number 18. This is public safety, emergency services. This is $68 million down the rat hole. Where is it? You're not going to talk. They spent $68 million and not one goddamn word. Not one goddamn word, because it's all crooked. Oh, well, now maybe only about 60 million of it's crooked. Number 19, this is good faith negotiations, living wage for talent, providing on-air services. They're not paying them enough. Number 20, this is cleaning of the Sherman Way Tunnel. It's filthy. The Sherman Way Tunnel is absolutely filthy. 21 is personal service contract. Who the hell is Sadie Moore? Personal services, an expert in technical nature, and 15. I want a VD test of everybody who works for Mr. Bustamante.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh. Give him his 1 minute.
Okay, let me tell you, on September 8th, when someone was up here, all of a sudden we had a fire alarm. And what did all these fire departments do? They evacuated the building, and they found that the pipes had burst downstairs. Now, if that's a lie, I want one of you cocksuckers to say it was a lie. I'll say one good thing about you. You're not thieves the way the LA NYPD is. You did absolutely nothing. You kept it quiet, and this building is a goddamn fucking fire trap. And you know it, you fucking cocksucking sons of bitches. You shit on your mother.
Okay, your time has expired. Okay, let's bring up Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman, you have items 2, 3, 4, 5, 17A, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, not 22, 21 in general public comment. Come on.
Oh, sorry. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here on behalf of the public's interest in protest regarding lien on item A, item 2, item CD22 and CD14-2, and item number 4, CD2, the goat man that I don't see in his seat, reaching out for him. And then, like I said, you know, when you have a lien on your property, you get a knock at the door. Building safety inspector shows up. He doesn't have a letter certified mail on hand. Well, I'll tell you something. It's unconstitutional that they violate your civil liberties and rights. Come here and protest. Come right here and have them waive all the 300% interest cost, and then you can fix your problem. Now, let me go to the back of the booklet since I got 1 minute going. Thank you, Mr. Herman. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Item 13 and CD14, although the local official of that district is unavailable, regarding information technology and general services and committee. It's a report. Well,
Mr. Herman, item 13's been already approved, so you have to go on to item 19.
I'm sorry, my mistake. Item 17, a resolution decline. Item 18, communication from the mayor. Now, Mr. Mayor hasn't been available, which is Eric Garcetti, for the record, in over 300 plus days.
No, let's stay on the item.
Okay, but we're dealing with communication from the mayor, city administrative officers, and I'm one of the officers. I just been elected by John Walsh, HollywoodHarleyan.org, and many of the public because they want to see change. Reform this horseshoe and put in a new councilman by the name of Armando Herman.
Stay, Mr. Herman, on the item. In fact, you should move on to another
item. I'm going to item 19, sir. Resolution of and that of Ms. Martinez. And this, I'm sorry, I couldn't see. Couldn't see through the glasses, sorry. Now that we're on topic regarding the so-called engage in good faith, 42 U.S.C. 1983, California Bill of Rights, and California Constitution says, for the record, hold your ears if you got little children, but there's nothing offensive about First Amendment free speech. See, free speech deals with engaging in good faith.
Let's
Fuck
give him.
you.
Let's give him his 1 minute. Mr. Herman, you have your 1 minute.
I never intent was to cause you trouble, LA. I never meant to cause you the pain. I only wanted to express my free speech under the purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. Honey, I know times are changing, and it's time we all reach out for one another. With the fire department and the people on the other side with the white tie. Oh, clergyman, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now under the purple rain? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I just wanted to see you loving her, man. I just wanted to see you loving her, man. I just want to see you loving purple rain. I only want to see you once. I see you once. I in the purple rain.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mr. Herman. Thank you. Okay. That, Madam Clerk, City Attorney, that concludes multi-general public comment. It is over. Let's now vote on items 2, 3, 4, 5. Please, shh. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote. Now let's vote
13
on...
ayes.
I'm sorry. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
13 ayes.
13 ayes.
Thank you. Now let's vote on items 17, 18, 20, and 21. Please open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
All right, thank you. What we're going to do is we have a very special presentation today. I'd like to welcome back to the council chambers the mayor of the great city of Los Angeles, Eric Garcetti. Let's give our mayor a round of applause. Mr. Mayor, welcome. Mr. Herman, don't start.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you, colleagues. It's great always to return to these chambers. Good morning. Thank you, Council President Wesson and members of the City Council. It is a great privilege to be here with a man who has stood inside these chambers, on the steps of this building, and throughout the streets of this city and beyond, as a voice of peace, of justice, of inspiration in this world, and somebody who I am so proud to call a deep and close personal friend, along with his wife, Mary, Bishop John Bruno. I count myself lucky because when I think about some of the most important moments in my life, Bishop Bruno has been there. In 2005, when I was sworn in for the second time to be a member of this august chamber, it was Bishop Bruno who immediately was the person I wanted to swear me in. He gave me a Bible then that he, I think, got in seminary, one that I still have with me here in this city council, in the city hall office. And every single day it reminds me that this giant of a man is somebody who taught me as well how to listen to the people who are in greatest need in this city. When my wife Amy and I were married in 2009, Bishop Bruno was there as part of the ceremony to bless us. Some of you were at the reception that we had here in Los Angeles. And in 2013, when I was lucky enough to be elected as mayor for the first time in the city, while we had a big inauguration outside here on a very hot day, it was the day before on the island in Echo Park Lake where we opened the gate, crossed the bridge, went over, and with my family had a private swearing in, the legal swearing in. And Bishop Bruno, again, was there to swear me in and was there again with another personal Bible of his that he gave to me as a gift. This man has been so important in my life, but I know I'm not the only Angelino who has those sorts of memories. In fact, you can probably multiply them 10,000-fold in this city. He was ordained more than 40 years ago, but his dedication and service, the difference that he's made in people's lives, stretches back even further. But because before he was a priest, he was a police officer in Burbank, where he served, Paul Krikorian's just learning this, former representative in Burbank, fighting for justice, raising his voice for the voiceless for so many years. And whether it was the work that he has led in the Episcopal Diocese to address our homeless brothers and sisters, LGBTQ Angelenos, folks in our immigrant communities, he's not only stood up for those voiceless, he has brought us all together to do the same. One of my fondest memories in public life is seeing off a group of students who were going to travel the United States. They were organized by Bishop Bruno to see the places where America has been perhaps most tested, from civil rights locations where people lost their lives, to Laramie, Wyoming, where Matthew Shepard was killed, to be voices of a new generation of peace and of hope. And I brought, I think it was a cassette at the time. If you don't know what a cassette is, ask your parents. A cassette tape of The Mission, one of my favorite movies, and the soundtrack that I said to these folks that were going to move forward in Hands of Peace, is that what it was?
Hands in Healing.
Hands in Healing across the country for them to listen to. For many years, Bishop Bruno ran parishes in all kinds of places, in cities, in suburban and rural areas, here in California, up north in Oregon. No matter where he was, though, he always worked with the people on the ground. He understood that he had a role to play not only on the inside but outside the church, and he mobilized members, rolled up his sleeves. It's often said in biblical teachings that you either have to be a prophet or a pastor, that some people have the gift of being able to pastor to people who are in great need, while others are out there saying the prophecies of the future and where we need to go to, and rarely do the two meet. But in Bishop Bruno, we've had both, a man with the biggest heart I know, who pastors unlike anybody I've met. But he's also been a prophet in uncomfortable ways, in uncomfortable moments, in difficult places, and at crises that we face. He has always steered our faces and our feet towards justice. Hands in Healing, Seeds of Hope, the Diocesan Reconciliation Project. Whether it was working to end violence or to build bridges of tolerance and understanding, love has always been the guiding principle. And I'll close with this and ask the bishop to say a few words. I always tell my team to lead with love. They sometimes make fun of me for that, but I truly believe it, that you can be good at what you do, you can be smart at what you bring to the table, you can learn to be a good listener, which is, I think, the biggest skill that we can have as public officials. But if we don't lead with love, what's the point? Because all that power we accumulate is spent in a way that cannot change and reach the lives and hearts of people who need it. So on behalf of 4 million Angelenos, 10 million who live in this county and 18 million here, and a world that has benefited from the peace that you have given us, the certificate's down here, we want to present to Bishop John Bruno this certificate to thank you for the unyielding dedication you have given this city of angels. We've said it in these chambers, and maybe it's an overused phrase, but with this man, it really cuts to the heart of who he is. This truly is an angel in this city of angels. Please join me in thanking Bishop John Bruno.
I'm overwhelmingly thankful for the city of Los Angeles. I was born here in 1946, and I was able to work here in all sorts of capacities, in law enforcement, as a clergy member, as a chaplain to the Los Angeles Police Department for 25 years. We have 3 beautiful children, 9 grandchildren, but the reason that I have love in my heart is the woman who stands behind me. This woman has taught me to be in relationship with anyone and everyone, even if they were saying terrible things about our family. I am appreciative for every member of this city council, and I can't tell you how much this city has changed in the years since I was born here. I am very thankful for my friendship with the mayor, Eric Garcetti, and his beloved wife. Because even as I drove into the parking lot and there in his car, his electric car was parked in his parking space, I was driving a van that was much bigger, and I thought about, I have to get this thing to be electric. Hope is given by leaders. Every single one of you people around this horseshoe should be praised for bringing hope to this city, for bringing abundance of life to the citizens of this city. And yes, for having a loving and gentle, caring concern for those who are less fortunate. I thank you for allowing me to be an Angelino. Amen.
Thank you. Let's give the bishop a round of applause.
What's the members who want to say a few words to it?
And Mr. Garcetti, I'd have to say I was shocked, like Mr. Krikorian. I did not know the bishop was a police officer. And I was just thinking to myself, he was a big one. He was a big one.
They pile it higher and deeper.
Anyways, get a bishop and his wife one more
Thank
round
you so
of
much,
applause.
Mr. President. Thank you all so
Mr.
much.
Mayor, always a pleasure to have you here. As they are exiting, Mr. Cedillo, would you like to move towards the center aisle for your presentation? Mr. Cedillo, the floor is yours.
Do you want to go get the rest of my notes? Mr. President, members, let me thank you for this opportunity. I'm inspired by the words we just heard. The mayor of our city implores his staff and us to listen to the people who are in greatest need. He suggests that those of us who have an opportunity to be here in these chambers, that we lead with love. And the Bishop Bruno suggests that hope is given by leaders. And I think all those statements extremely profound and necessary for us as we do our work. Today I want to talk about what's called Mes de Salud, the month of health. We have a lot of months that we designate on this floor. But you and I know that nothing is more important than our health. Without our health, we can neither earn nor learn. The quality of our life is dictated by the quality of our health. That, unfortunately, is dictated by the quality of health care delivery in this nation. And it's embarrassing to say that we are one of the few nations in which access to health care is not a guaranteed human right. But the good news is that there are people, like the consulate here today, like the County of Los Angeles, like the Binational Committee, who are committed to ensuring that health care is accessible to those in greatest need. And so we are here today to announce the El Mes de Salud in Los Angeles, and it couldn't be greater in its timing If you read the front page of the LA Times today, they talk about a possible bipartisan deal in the U.S. Senate about reversing the cuts that were made by President Trump last week by creating a program in which poor people in this country who don't have health care by their employer can have access to health insurance. That is wonderful. But this is not about that. This is about people who don't even have that opportunity. Do you realize that in the ACA and the Affordability Care Act, that the undocumented community was written out of that law? That it is explicit that if you are undocumented, you cannot buy health insurance. Let me say that again so people can appreciate it. That if you are undocumented, it is illegal, not permissible for you to buy health insurance. You can buy auto insurance, you can buy home insurance, you can buy insurance for your business. But for your health care, there was such a moment of hysteria, of anti-immigrant phobia, that bill could not pass without the provision that said the undocumented community, 11 million people living here, could not purchase health insurance. And so they are dependent upon a whole array of services provided by the County of Los Angeles and clinics throughout the region. This year, the Consul General of Mexico is teaming up with 100 community partners throughout the area. There's a focus this year on mental health, and mental health is key in the immigrant community because immigrants, by their very nature, as I often say, are courageous, entrepreneurial, adventurous in many respects. They leave their homes, their stability, their certainty, and come to another country where they're vilified, where they don't speak the language, and where their opportunities are limited. That has to have an impact on your self-esteem. That has to have an impact on your sense of being and an impact on your mental health. And so it's with that in mind that this month of health is focused on mental health. We're proclaiming this Mes de Salud. We encourage all constituents to focus on prevention, to avoid waiting in emergency rooms, and to utilize this incredible array of services that's provided by the County of Los Angeles, where you once worked, and by the whole range of clinics that partner with them, a product of our efforts in 1996, to use those services. Don't wait. Take advantage of those services for all the challenges that confront you. With that, it's an incredible honor for me to introduce one of the most extraordinary diplomats living in Los Angeles today. Carlos Garcia de Alba is the Consul General of Mexico. He's joined here by his colleague from Guatemala, and he is leading in the city in so many ways as we are confronted with challenges and crises like earthquakes and changes in the public atmosphere. It is Carlos Garcia de Alba who speaks up clearly and fiercely for the rights of immigrants and all Angelenos. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce Consul General.
Muchas gracias. Welcome. Welcome, my friend.
Muchas gracias. Muy buenos días. Thank you so much, City Council members, for the invitation to speak about a very important topic, and thank you to my good friend Gil Cedillo for including us in this important event with my colleagues from the Consulate General from Guatemala, and I'm with my colleagues and, of course, with Cynthia Harding from the County of LA in charge of mental health. And it's important to stress that it's the 9th edition of El Mes de la Salud. It was before 9 years ago, it was a week fully devoted to health, and it was upgraded to the whole month of October. And the purpose is to spread information about how to take care of such an important thing as health, the basic part of life, and also to help to spread information of how to get access to health services, either free or low-cost services. If I may say, for my government, it's a top priority to empower people. And a good way to empower people is health. Education and health is very important. And since 2003, we started developing the so-called ventanillas de salud, the permanent health stations that we have nowadays in the 50 Mexican consulates spread all over the USA. The first one was opened in San Diego, California, 2003, and immediately after that, the second one was opened here in Los Angeles. And since then, again, it has been an important priority to develop this model of the permanent health stations. I have to say, they have been successful, and it's not my opinion. 2 weeks ago, the Organization of American States in Washington, D.C., the U.S. and Mexico, of course, belong to this organization, recognized this program as a successful and important program. I have to add that a month ago, the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Mexico, Luis Videgaray, visited Los Angeles, and he opened the very first station fully devoted to mental health. So in this case, the Mexican consulate in LA is the very first one that is offering mental health services, either live services and virtual services. So we are happy to share this experience, and also I want to clarify, these services are not just for Mexicans. Any citizen, including American citizens that want to take a basic health service, they are very welcome to visit our facilities and to check and to make basic tests. Finally, I want to say that we will celebrate 7 different events, 7 different fairs along the month, many in the first district of the city of Los Angeles. Thank you for your support. Yeah? Yes. And so everybody is welcome to attend. And of course, I take the opportunity to thank once again the County of LA that has been a key partner of the Mexican Consulate and to the whole City Council of Los Angeles. Thank you so much.
With that, we declare this the month of Salud, Mes de Salud, here in the city of Los Angeles.
Gracias. Gracias.
Salud. Salud. Thank you, Mr. President.
One more round of applause. Thank you. So as they're leaving, if Ms. Rodriguez, if you could get ready.
Yes. Additional photos, collect all your belongings.
As we're doing this, let's reconsider, Mr. Clerk, item 7. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Okay, so now that we do have our 12
14
members,
ayes.
let's vote on it again. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
All right. There's Java.
Well, we just wait, just so you can get some more silence.
She's the live stream queen.
She's setting the bar.
Live stream queen.
Ms. Rodriguez, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. We're actually going to start, before I commence with the presentation, I'd like to start with a very quick video clip that we're going to run right now.
Jory, they were set to return home after rescuing dozens of hurricane victims in Texas, but tonight the LA Fire Department's Task Force 1 is getting ready to face another dangerous storm.
As thousands of motorists rush to leave Florida, a convoy of rescuers from the Los Angeles Fire Department captured on video rolling into Orlando.
This is so freaking cool. These boys are all the way from California.
The 70-member urban search and rescue team known as Task Force 1 preparing to help victims of the potentially life-threatening hurricane taking aim at the state. The team was sent to Texas 2 weeks ago in the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey. Instead of returning to California, they headed straight to Florida.
We want to be close enough to where the impact area is going to be so we can get resources in there and start helping some people out.
Task Force 1 includes members highly trained in swiftwater rescues, skills that kept them busy in Texas.
Going door to door, capturing people off the rooftops, on their patios, on their porches.
2 members of the team having their own brush with death when they plunged into floodwaters to search a partially submerged vehicle, a strong current pulling them into a storm drain.
They both went in the drain, and due to their experience and their training, they were able to self-rescue while they were inside that tube.
As they prepare to face another dangerous storm, the team is bracing for the worst.
We've got some very experienced, very dedicated individuals that are ready to step up and do it all over again.
The LA Fire Department's Task Force 1, one of 15 teams preparing to respond to Hurricane Irma.
Let's just give it up for the best fire department in the country.
Thank you so much, Mr. President and colleagues. It is with extreme pride that today we honor and recognize the members of Task Force 1. You know, as a daughter of an LA City firefighter, I will tell you there's no greater understanding that I have than the kinds of sacrifices that these individuals make in order to be of service to our community. And it is absolutely humbling for me to see the incredible response that they had in the wake of so many devastating catastrophes that were not only just happening here at home, but also across the country. And it reflected, I think, the incredible group of individuals that are beside me here today that are on a moment's notice prepared to be called into action. On Saturday, August 26th, more than 70 members of our fire department were deployed to Texas as part of the FEMA Urban Search and Rescue Task Force to assist with Hurricane Harvey. Succeeding that, they had, on September 6th, been deployed to Florida to help victims of Hurricane Irma in the Florida Keys for rescue operations, doing door-to-door searches conducted on ground. Over the course of the 24-day deployment, the team searched nearly 4,200 structures, assisted over 700 residents and pets, and performed 56 evacuations. These members are the true ambassadors for the city of Los Angeles. And at a time when we were facing so many devastating natural disasters, both here at home and across this country, they reflected the very best of who we are in the city of Los Angeles, and that in times of crisis, they responded, and with incredible sacrifice, not only to, to their families as well, for the fact that they were gone as long as they were. I'm here today with, of course, our terrific Chief Ralph Terrazas, Chief Graham Everett, the Chief of Staff, and with me today are just a handful of the members of Task Force 1, Jeff Arnold, Calvillo Carlos, Robbie Cordobes, Adam Davis, Steve Hissong, Sean Jennings, Michael Kammerer, Essam Lobin, and I apologize if I've missed us, Sam, Eric Ingstad, Sergio Franco, Java, the dog. Hey, Java. Who's our woman representation right here this morning. Gender equity, it's very important, and led by Chief Wade White, who unfortunately isn't here, but these task force members are made up of 70 members, both civilian and fire personnel, both men and women of the department who have dedicated themselves to really specializing in this rescue efforts, and they've done an outstanding job. And while back home we were facing the largest fire in the city's history in my district, they were out there doing an incredible job across this country. And I'm just absolutely, I'm always proud to be a member of the fire family, but I am especially proud today given the incredible work that they did. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today in honoring them and recognizing them. And at this time, I would like to invite my colleague, Councilmember Mitch Englander, for his remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Monica, for doing this. Recognizing our first responders is something we never do enough. And in fact, last week I was honored to host the 38th Annual Excellence in Public Safety Award reception, and it was incredible because we shared a lot of stories of our first responders. But the folks behind me, and I want to say the men and women, because I'll tell you, it takes a family. They were gone for nearly a month. And the conditions, if you think about what they were living in, sleeping on people's lawns, unable to shower, looking for the next meal. It's not like they're going on this tour where they roll out the red carpet to visit a city. They're actually going into uncharted territory, places they've never been, and figuring out how to navigate that landscape to put their lives on the front line, to risk everything to protect strangers across the nation. And I haven't even seen anything like this. I think the frequency in which we've seen these firestorms and floods in my lifetime. And we have, and I continue to say, the best fire department by far in the country. It was interesting. I don't know how many of you were paying that close attention to the clip that just played. But on one side of the freeway was bumper-to-bumper traffic, and it wasn't moving, and everybody's running away from danger. They're evacuating. They're getting out of Dodge. These guys were on the other side where you saw nobody driving right towards where they know they're putting themselves in harm's way. And if that weren't enough, they left there, relocated, and did it again. And then they got back, and then we had the Latuna Canyon fires, and then we had Sonoma. I mean, it's been insanity. You can't put a value or enough gratitude from us to the folks that are gathered here today and the ones that couldn't make it. But I want to especially thank as well as their spouses, their children, because they're without mom and dad. They're without and waiting, without perhaps even having a connection because we heard cell phone service was down. We heard there was a lapse in connectivity and communication. And so they're out there, and their loved ones don't even know where they're at. It's remarkable. And I truly appreciate that you've brought them together. I will say another new hero here is our councilwoman, because she was thrown into the fire literally day one. You know, within the first several weeks of her taking office, Monica was out there in the largest fire in the city's history and making sure she was both in their way and out of their way when she needed to be, but navigating large animal rescues, negotiating on the ground, making sure food and supplies were there for our first responders. She was a natural, and I saw that, and I was in awe, and truly appreciate it. So I'd like to recognize her as well. But let's give it up, and another round of applause, because we can't give them enough. Our first responders. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to invite my colleague, Councilmember David Rue.
Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember Englander. And I know every single council member wanted to honor the firefighters, so I just really want to thank you for including me in this presentation and putting this presentation together. And I'm so honored to have the LAFD task force here, along with our Chief Terrazas and Tony Gamboa of UFLAC. You know, our state has suffered some of the worst wildfires in its history this year, and our county has seen unimaginable natural disasters. And here in California, not only did the LAFD beat back the La Tuna fire this summer and fought the Canyon Fire in Anaheim, but when Texas was ravaged by Hurricane Harvey, Florida facing Hurricane Irma, the LAFD task force was there. In Houston alone, they rescued 40 people, and in some cases, they were the first team to arrive on the scene. We're so glad that we were able to welcome them back home at Fire Station 88 in Sherman Oaks. Near or far, our firefighters answer the call and exemplify what's best in Los Angeles. It doesn't matter where you live or what you look like, we help our neighbors when they are most in need. This week alone in my district, a brush fire broke out in Griffith Park, and a pumpkin patch caught fire in Toluca Lake. But LAFD was ready and prepared and extinguished the flames and restored safety to all the residents. The LAFD task force represents the best of the best, not only in Los Angeles, but in the world. There is no way to return the favor they pay to Los Angeles every single day, but the least that we can do is be ready and be prepared ourselves, which is why I urge everyone, remind all communities to sign up for Notify LA at emergency.lacity.org, as well as the LAFD real-time alerts at lafd.org. Get trained in your certifications and be ready for the disaster. I really want to again thank the Los Angeles Fire Department Task Force and for joining us today and serving our city. You make us proud and make me proud for even living in Los Angeles. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'd like to invite Chief Terrazas for some remarks.
Thank you, Councilmember Martinez.
Rodriguez.
Sorry.
You're going to pay for that one.
I know.
We wondered.
I used to work with her dad. I'm not going to hear the end of that.
We wondered, Chief, who was going to do that first, and it's you.
That's all good.
Thank you, Councilmember Rodriguez. Council President Wesson, City Council members, it's an honor to be here in front of you today to recognize the members of California Task Force 1. I want the members standing behind me to know that Mayor Garcetti, this City Council, our Fire Commission, myself, the members of the Fire Department, and the people of Los Angeles are very proud of you. It's nice to hear all the words of encouragement from the group here. And as I thought about some of the recent events, I thought about our footprint. It's been said that we have the greatest fire department in the country and in the world. And I believe that with all my heart. And let me justify why I feel that way. First of all, we did have the La Tuna brush fire, the biggest fire in our recent history, 7,200 acres. We did deploy simultaneously California Task Force 1, first to Houston, then to Florida, and then they were actually standing by to go back to Puerto Rico. We did send 4 people to Puerto Rico, so we helped with 3 hurricane recoveries. And that's not all. Recently, we had that tragic event in Las Vegas where 30 off-duty LAFD members and about 90 off-duty LAPD members went into action the moment the shooting began. And they assisted the Las Vegas police and fire departments in handling that tragic event. After that, we had the Anaheim Hills brush fire. We sent a strike team down south to assist with that. And on the same day, the fire in Central California in Napa and Sonoma counties broke out. We sent 3 strike teams to those fires. 1 has subsequently returned. On top of all of that, we respond to an average of 1,315 calls every day and transport, on average, 600 people to the hospital every day. So truly, we are very, very proud of our people, and I believe we're the greatest fire department in the country. I want to thank Mayor Garcetti, the City Council. It's because of your support in allowing us to hire, buy new helicopters, buy new fire engines, that we're able to do this. So I thank you on behalf of the 3,500 men and women of the Los Angeles Fire Department. Now, specific to the group behind me, much has been said, but there's a few things I'd like to add. On August 27th, FEMA put the call out that they would be needed for the hurricane event in Houston, and we immediately deployed our team of 80 in a convoy of emergency vehicles. They drove the 1,500 miles to Houston and did amazing things, as you heard. They were tasked with searching devastated areas, performing rescues, and providing medical aid as needed. They did have some unusual encounters. They encountered alligators, poisonous snakes, crabs, iguanas, farm animals, and I'm told a very vicious chihuahua who bit one of our members, who did not show up today because they thought they might be embarrassed. On September 6th, after they had been deployed to Houston, they came back. They were actually in El Paso, Texas, where I have some relatives. And I got a phone call. Did I know that we had many firefighters from LA and El Paso? And I said, yes, I knew that. They're doing good stuff. They got the call from FEMA to redirect to Florida. They drove the 1,700 miles to get to Florida. There is where that video that you just saw was filmed by an off-duty Florida police officer on a Florida freeway. In his words, he was overcome with emotion to see the Los Angeles Fire Department in the state of Florida. That video went viral with over 1 million views and thousands of positive comments. That deployment placed our members as ambassadors for our department. We're extremely proud of their service. They did have a 24-day deployment, which is a new record for a FEMA deployment within the United States. So thank you very much. I'm very, very proud of the members of our department.
Thank you, Chief. And at this time, I'd like to invite Tony Gamboa, the President of United Firefighters of the City of Los Angeles.
Mr. President, welcome.
Good morning, Council President Wesson and council members. My name is Tony Gamboa. I'm the president of UFLAC. I'm here today simply to say thank you to our members for their heroic efforts to aid those affected by Hurricane Harvey and Irma. Between the back-to-back deployments of Hurricane Harvey and Irma, the California Task Force 1 Swiftwater crew was deployed for 24 days, making it the longest deployment in their FEMA mission. Many people don't realize for our members, deployment is extremely difficult. They go into areas where people are fleeing in order to save lives. It is also tremendously demanding on their families. I want to especially thank your families who are here today for their commitment to a life of public service and sacrifice. Across California, massive fires continue to devastate local communities from San Francisco to San Diego. Our LA City firefighters and paramedics have been regularly dispatched to assist with mutual aid efforts. As we saw in the Latuna fire, where dozens of city and county fire departments responded to the call for help. These mutual aid efforts are one of the most important things we do to help protect our brothers and sisters in their time of need. Our firefighters are always ready to aid those in need, both here in LA and beyond, because when we need help in our backyard, we know that we could count on the firefighters from outside of our city to provide mutual aid assistance to our residents when large-scale emergencies erupt. I want to thank Council Member Monica Rodriguez for organizing this presentation for our team, and Council Members Englander and Rue for honoring the incredible work of our team here today. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Rodriguez, I do have a member on the queue I'd like to recognize, if it's okay with you. Absolutely. Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Rodriguez, Tony, Chief, men and women of the LAFD, you really did the city proud, rescuing lives in Houston and Florida and sending a team to Puerto Rico even. I know that if we'd had a ship, you would have put all the equipment on a ship and everyone would have gone to Puerto Rico. But you really do represent the best of what this city has to offer. And you show to the rest of the country and the world really what character is and what Los Angeles is, and we're so important to the rest of the country, especially at a time when, at the national level, we don't lean toward challenges, we lean back from them. But that's what Los Angeles does, and that's what California does. So you've done us all proud. So to my colleagues, Rue and Englander and Rodriguez, thank you so much for leading this wonderful celebration. And a special thank you to Java, the wonder dog. Thank you so much, and may God bless all of you and your families. We really, really deeply appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you so
Let's give
much.
them another round of applause. Ms. Rodriguez, back to you.
Thank you, colleagues. So it's, again, with a tremendous sense of pride that we thank the members of California Task Force 1 for their service, because on duty or off, they're on call, and they're ready to serve, and they did us a huge service to represent us as well as they did, and to make the commitment to dedicate themselves for these specialized rescue efforts. And so on behalf of the Los Angeles City Council, I'd like to thank the men and women of members of California Task Force 1, and thank you for your service to the city of Los Angeles and this great nation.
We all thank you. Is Ilian Morden? If you're here, please make your way. Sergeants, if we could clear the way. We're on item 19, I believe it is. It is so good to see you. It always is. Why don't we just wait a minute?
See, I was thinking of Tony, you're the man. Always. Kind words. You got it. You got it. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. You got it. Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you so much, and congratulations. Really appreciate it. Thank you. We are very grateful. Thank you. Well done, Mr. Rue. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you. You best. Sir?
I was in San Jose hockey game.
Why don't we try now? Good to see you.
So I'll introduce myself for the record. I'm Ilian Morden Kitchaven, and I'm the Executive Director of Los Angeles for SAG-AFTRA, and I want to thank the members of the City Council for your consideration of this resolution introduced by councilpersons Rue and Martinez. For over a year, SBS has failed to negotiate a fair contract, although employees at their LA stations, La Raza and La Mega, overwhelmingly voted to unionize and join SAG-AFTRA in August of 2016. We've received immense support from the community as well as many elected officials, some of you here, and we ask for the full council support today. Region 31 of the NLRB issued an order consolidating the unfair labor practices filed by SAG-AFTRA against SBS and agreed that SBS has interfered, restrained, and coerced employees and unlawfully terminated union activists for their union activities. Just yesterday, SBS walked away from the bargaining table. It is incumbent of our city leaders to stand for workers' rights and free treatment. Can I just finish my sentence?
Finish the sentence.
Thank you. You've done this time again, and on behalf of the 160,000 members of SAG-AFTRA and the 80,000 residing in Los Angeles, I thank you for your consideration to pass this motion, and we thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, on this item, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, can we move on item 9?
Yes, sir. And for the record, amending motion 9A has been posted and circulated for council's consideration.
Okay, let's vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Let's go to general public comment for a bit. I want to start with, do we have Angel? Angel? Please come forward, followed by Ms. Autry. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Wesson, for opportunity to give me to speak today in regards to a public comment that I have. I am living in the city of Encino, District Council Member Paul Koretz. I'm having an issue with my neighbor in regards to a massive landslide into his property, which is a new issue. And I reported the matter to whom I could possibly report it. On September 14, 2017, they issued from the Department of Building and Safety to do a proper inspection in regards to a new landslide issue that both properties it's located into Council Member Paul Koretz's office. This new issue I reported to the deputy of Council Member Paul Koretz. In past couple of weeks, I went to Sheila Quell also, and I tried to assure the public safety of my property, which I cannot sell my property.
Maybe what we can do is if we could have the council members convene some staff to have a more detailed conversation with you. So if you'd go to the right, I'll see if I can't get somebody from those two offices to come chat with you. Sergeant, if you could show her where to go. Your time is expired. So let's move you to the side so that you can speak with the representatives. Ms. Autry, come forward. Before Ms. Autry, Mr. Englander.
Can I ask number 18 to be sent forthwith, please?
Without objection. Yes, Ms. Autry.
Oh, thank you for hearing my comment. This is general public comment. Yes, in light of the expose on the sexual harassment I made relative to the indecent proposals made by Harvey Weinstein, so I will not sound anti-Semitic. Again, there are cadres of Hispanic men. I believe that some other fraternal members, Jewish, other levels of fraternities are sending to harass black women using the electronic weapons. So many of these women are already homeless, and I will not add to that number, damaging our necks, backs. These electronic weapons can cause neuropathy, making us look disfigured, disformed. Many are on walkers, and these men don't want wives that are deformed, so then we become potential sex slaves and prostitutes. Some of these men are not only sex traffickers, they are sadistic, misogynist, pedophiles, cannibals, vampires, spiritually and physically. So I'd like
Thank you, Ms. Autry. Mr. Spindler, general public comment. Ms. Autry, thank you. Ms. Autry, your time's expired. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Autry, you know the time limit. So, Mr. Spindler, come on.
Impressed with what I'm seeing over here. Current Price came over and offered to help one of our friends in Encino on her landslide. Give him a hand. This guy, man, he public servant doesn't describe Current Price. I got to tell you something. So I'm really impressed by that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Because I know Paul Koretz didn't even get up to even say hello to this nice lady. He don't give a fuck about Encino, you know, but Current Price does, and that's important. So, you know, I'm reading all this stuff in the news. I wonder why the acting mayor fucked Garcetti over. I'm going to have more to say about that. So finally, I just want to reiterate from the LA Outlaws, fuck Mitchell Englander!
Thank you. That closes general public comment. Why don't we go into the special meeting, Mr. Clerk?
Very good, sir. Blumenfield, Bonham, Buscaino, Cedillo, Engler, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Corretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, and Wesson, 13 members present. Mr. President, that brings us to item 22. It is an item for which a public hearing has not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, that item is now before us. What speakers do I have on this item? Mr. Walsh?
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Sworn overtime. Does that include September 8th when they evacuated the building? I don't know. And the LA Times covered the story up. Okay, transfer $4 million for account sworn salaries to sworn overtime. That's the $4 million that we spent of our tax money to go to Texas and to take care of all these fires down there. We, you black people out there, you Hispanic people, you paid for those white people $4 million out of your black and Hispanic tax money. That's where it's right here. And everybody knows it's true. And if I'm a fucking liar, call me a fucking liar.
Okay, Mr. Spindler? Mr. Herman?
All right, good, $4 million. Sounds like a good number. So on our special, we're going to be giving the fire department $4 million. Now, that doesn't include pension costs. It doesn't include sales tax. It doesn't include equipment. We're just giving away $4 million of the fire department. Why? Because Herb Wesson can. Yes, we can. We can give away $4 million any fucking time we want. And Herb Wesson can give me a settlement anytime he wants.
Stay on the subject.
And like the fire department, everybody going to get paid. And that's the way LA does it. As I had a good talk with my new friend, Mark Ridley Thomas, my new friend, and finally, for the record,
thank you.
Fuck Mitchell Englander. Fuck him.
Thank you. Mr. Herman, please come forward.
Mr. Chair, based on the facts of this $4 million for the subject of sworn overtime, I object. We've given out so many expenditures based on law settlements, and yet we have enough money to pay sworn officers for overtime. You have people like myself, since 2008, who've been homeless, who could shut off a fire in a matter of seconds if I urinate on it. But that's not the subject. I'll take half of the $4 million and divide that between Mr. Spindler and Mr. Hunt and pay them off to settle the settlements the city owes them. But going back on topic, as I reframe myself regarding the controller, Mr. Michael, I forget his name. What's that gentleman's name? He speaks like me. Gaffron. Yeah, that's his name. He says that the LA Fire Department...
Thank you. Miss Autry, did you fill out a card on this subject?
Yes. No firefighters required, not in use, not in service. I'm sure you know what that cryptic code is. What I'd like to say is so much money is being invested in this police state, notwithstanding the LAPD, fire department. Why not redivert this funding towards the youth, the schools, public, private institutions, after school tutorials, so that we are not creating or we're not funding this police state? I mean, what you quite obviously are doing. Yesterday, the community showed out en masse in opposition of the drones. I know that the fire department is not the PD or the sheriff's department, but we do not want a police state. So much money, I don't want, over 50% has already been used or allocated towards the terrorists, which are the police department. Again, I will not be another Waukesha Wilson. I am not the sex goddess, and I do not appreciate your police officers touching themselves and their lips. That's right. You know how you subjugate black women. You want an all-white society. You want black...
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Autry. Thank you very much. Okay, why don't we... Miss Autry, your time is expired. Sergeants, help her go back to her seat. Miss Autry, thank you. Okay, so let's... we are being disrupted by Mr. Herman. Still disruption. Okay, let's leave the special, return to the regular. Okay, let's open the roll. In fact, let me just go on the record before I call on Mr. Krikorian. I can't even hear myself think because of this disruption caused by Mr. Herman and the rest of his sidekicks. So I do want to just go on the record, Madam City Attorney, to let you know that. And before we vote, I want to recognize Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. For the record, Mr. Spindler's shouting out for the audience as well. Might not be heard on the mics, but it really is distracting and disruptive of this meeting when these speakers continue to make noise when their only entitlement is to sit there quietly and speak when they come to the mic and nothing else. So, but they continue to disrupt. I just wanted to point out for members' edification that I guess goes without saying, but the speakers who spoke to this item are all wrong. These are transfers within the fire department's budget, and all of this money will be reimbursed by state and federal sources pursuant to the emergency declarations and arrangements that we have. This is to pay the overtime for the very services that we celebrated the fire department just a moment ago for offering. So I would ask for an aye vote, and Mr. President, after the conclusion of the vote, I would ask that it be sent urgent forthwith.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Okay, let's vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Now let's vote on urgent forthwith. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. President, do you wish to adjourn the special meeting and return to the regular?
Yes, I do.
Very good, sir.
What's before this body?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted. They are referred.
The desk is clear.
Do we have announcements, members? Announcements? No announcements. If all could please rise for adjourning. Oh, Ms. Martinez. Okay, if we could all rise. All in the chambers, please rise. And I'd like to recognize Ms. Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd like to adjourn in the memory of Vijay Desai, who passed away this Saturday, October 15, 2017. Vijay Desai, an environmental engineer with the City of Los Angeles Sanitation Watershed Protection Program, lost his life due to a traffic accident. Vijay was a registered chemical engineer in the state of California and had been employed in the alley sanitation for 17 years, serving in various engineering capacities. Vijay was instrumental in establishing the alley sanitation's first safe centers in the early 2000s, participating in their design and eventually their operations. Vijay later moved to the stormwater quality endeavors of sanitation, working on the regulatory side, interpreting complex regulations and their applications to the alley sanitation operation and implementation. His last assignment as an environmental engineer had him leading the Los Angeles Sanitation's Dominguez Channel TMDL implementation section, where he was responsible for the planning and implementation of projects for the protection of water quality in the Dominguez Channel, Machado Lake, and San Pedro Bay. Before his city service, VJ was a successful 16-year career in the private sector, working for such companies as Honeywell International and Comtech Systems, where he held positions of chemical process engineer, manager of a plant processing operations, and supervising engineer for environmental affairs. VJ was also very active in his community. He was appointed by the Anaheim City Council and mayor to serve as a governing board member of the Anaheim Convention Center in 2006. VJ's funeral services will be held on Friday, October 20th at 10 a.m. at the Memory Garden Memorial Park and Mortuary at 455 West Central Avenue in Brea, California. Thank you, VJ, for all your hard work and contributions to the sciences and to the city of Los Angeles. He's survived by his wife, Usha, and his daughters, Radha and Mahini. May he rest in peace.
Thank you. I'm still looking to Ms. Martinez's side. Any other adjourning motions? I'm now going to Mr. Bonin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I have two adjourning motions today. One is for comedy writer Bob Schiller, whose credits ranged from I Love Lucy to Maude. He died on October 10th at his Pacific Palisades home at age 98. He was known in Hollywood for his long partnership with Bob Weisskopf. They worked on a range of top comedies from the 1950s to the 1980s, including Make Room for Daddy, The Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, The Lucy Show, The Red Skelton Show, The Good Guys, Carol Burnett, Maude, and All in the Family. They won numerous awards for their work, including Emmys, Golden Globes, Peabody Awards, the Humanitas Prize, and a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Writers Guild of America. They were the only staff writers added to the writing cast of I Love Lucy in its later seasons, and they wrote 53 installments from 1955 to 1957, including one of I Love Lucy's more memorable episodes when Lucy Ricardo stomps grapes at a winery in Italy. The episode with the Bon Factory was also one of the memorable ones, as was the episode with Vita Mita Vegemin. Exactly. Mr. Schiller was born in San Francisco. He graduated from UCLA in 1939 and got a taste for comedy writing his column in the Daily Bruin. It was called Bob's Tales. He was drafted to the Army in 1940, went to officer training school at Fort Bragg, and was deployed overseas to Europe. He did not see any combat. In fact, he was tasked with writing a comedy column for the Stars and Stripes and putting on variety shows for the troops. He in later years reflected on all the lost friends and talked about how blessed he was because, as he said, the worst weapon I had to use was a pie to the face. He also worked in radio, writing for well-known shows such as Abbott and Costello, Duffy's Tavern, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, and The Mel Blanc Show. They also worked on Our Miss Brooks. He was a lifelong civil rights supporter, and he pushed for conversations around social issues and controversial topics such as race, gender, sexual assault, and equal rights in decades before a lot of those were popular conversations. He retired in 1988, and he's survived by his wife of 49 years, Sabrina, and their 4 children. I'd also like to adjourn in memory today for a really beloved figure in Venice, Dr. Teresa Brihove, who worked for the Venice Family Clinic, really serving the poor, the underprivileged, and the homeless on the West Side. They said that she passed away last month from a sudden brain hemorrhage, and as much as anyone, she was the heart and soul of the family clinic. She joined the clinic in 1996, and they described her as the archetypal doctor and advocate, always putting patients and their well-being first. She was exceptionally sensitive to the needs of the most vulnerable, and because of that, she was named director of Venice Family Clinic's homeless healthcare program, and she transformed it into a model of clinics and community health centers nationwide. She was really undaunted in her approach to serving the homeless. She personally led outreach efforts to shelters and access centers, to local parks and the beaches, to provide medical care, and to encourage people experiencing homelessness to access the additional services the clinic had to offer. No matter how limited the setting, she tried to provide as much care as she could in an actual exam room. When Ocean Park Community Center, which is now called the People Concern, built 2 exam rooms for the clinic at the Annenberg Access Center in Santa Monica, she became the site lead there, and she led an effort to establish a respite care program for homeless patients requiring recuperative care after their discharge from hospitals. More recently, she ran a new Venice Family Clinic facility in Del Rey, the Irma Cohen Health Center, and the Lou Colin Children's Health and Wellness Center. Typical of her, they said, she donated her organs, so she continues to help people even in death. She leaves her husband, Richard, her daughters, Lisa and Christina, and her son, Matthew. May she rest in peace.
Thank you, Mr. Bonin. Seeing no other adjourning motions, this meeting is adjourned.